The crypto industry versus moving and relocation industry. Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I wanted to compare these two industries because the first one, the crypto industry, is new and technology based, and the moving and relocation industry has been around for a while. And historically, it's had less technology that drives the business. So I wanted to compare these two industries. Anyone considering a career move or considering a new career, this will help you figure out. This is a pretty big contrast between two types of businesses that are popular these days. So it should help you make a decision about, what type of business do you want to be involved with. So which is the better business? Crypto, which is growing, or moving and relocation, which is also growing, but the dynamics are a little bit different. So starting with the crypto industry. Crypto industry revenue is estimated, the total in the U.S., between 2.1 billion to 9.4 billion. Some of the data sources like Statista reported the higher number, 9.4 billion. By the way, this does not include transactions. This is company revenue, industry revenue total, not transactions between participants. So the growth estimate for the crypto industry is somewhere around 9% annually growth, in the U.S. across all the different companies in the crypto industry. And if you compare that to non-U.S. companies, crypto companies that are not inside the United States, that estimate is about 4 billion annually in revenue. So up to 9.4 billion compared to about less than half that outside the U.S., 4 billion. So by the year 2030, growth in the crypto industry, it could grow up to 12 billion are the estimates. That's in 5 years. That might be underreporting a little bit. That estimate might be a little low. And in the non-U.S. crypto industry, 5-year growth, 5 years from now, 2030, the estimates are for up to 8 billion. So from 4 to 8.1 billion for non-U.S. crypto. So you can see that the crypto industry is growing. It has growth, right? And you might have noticed that the U.S. crypto industry sort of blows away the rest of the world. And why is that? Why does U.S. crypto lead the world? So the biggest factor is because China used to play a big role in the crypto industry. Okay, so China is out of the picture now. They have basically outlawed crypto. Using crypto, mining crypto, setting up exchange traded funds, having portfolio managers involved in cryptocurrency. China has gotten rid of all that. So they're no longer a factor. That was a big hit for the world because the world crypto industry with China involved was a lot bigger. But China's out of the picture now. The EU, the European Union, accepts crypto, right? You can trade crypto. You can be involved in the crypto industry in the European Union. But compliance costs with their regulations, the compliance costs are high compared to the U.S. So the U.S. has a crypto czar and a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The U.S. has gone in a totally opposite direction from China. The U.S. is encouraging the crypto industry growth. A crypto czar, David Sachs, has been appointed by the new U.S. government in 2025. And a strategic Bitcoin reserve was set up, and also a digital asset stockpile that goes beyond Bitcoin. So there's a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and then there's a digital asset stockpile, sort of like the strategic petroleum reserve, but for all different cryptos and stable coins. So another change that the United States made to help regulators, Bitcoin in the U.S. is no longer considered a security. So the 1933 financial services industry regulations that occurred after the 1929 stock market crash. For a while, Bitcoin was considered a security, and it created a lot of problems if you were in the crypto industry for that reason. So Bitcoin is now considered and treated as a commodity, not a security. So that created a lot of clarity for regulators. It's considered a commodity. The United States became very pro-crypto this year, 2025, when the new government came into office in January. They sort of did a 180 because the prior government in the United States, they had regulators who were sort of anti-crypto in a lot of ways. And even though Coinbase existed then and other crypto firms existed, they were having a tough time. There was a lot of uncertainty. Is the federal government going to put us out of business? Sorts of uncertainty. So when the new government came in 2025, they appointed David Sachs as the crypto czar to sort of spearhead broad acceptance of crypto in the United States, because the new government wants to establish the United States as the world leader in crypto. And the fact is, we're already there. With the strategic Bitcoin reserve, with the digital asset stockpile, having a crypto czar, having a crypto assets redefined as being a commodity and not a security. So the United States is basically leading the world with crypto now. And China is not going to be able to participate in that because they cut themselves out of the picture. So I wanted to compare this new industry, a tech-related industry, to sort of an established industry that's been around for a while, moving and relocation. And I tried to pick an industry that was kind of as far away from a new high-tech sort of industry as possible. Moving and relocation, almost all of us at many times in our lives have relied on that industry, bought services from that industry to relocate, to move, right? So we all have experience with this industry throughout our lives. Many of us still do not have any experience with the crypto industry. So this industry is a lot different, and I did that on purpose. I wanted to make a comparison and a contrast. So the fact is, the moving and relocation industry blows crypto away in many different ways. I'll point out a few right now. So the market size right now is 20 billion. So that's more than twice the highest estimate for the crypto industry. 20 billion market size. By 2030, it's estimated to be $25 billion. So why is moving and relocation growing? It is growing. So it's not growing at the same rate as crypto, because crypto is new, the crypto industry. But there are factors affecting growth in moving and relocation. The first one is an exodus from from the cities. Urban exodus. People are leaving cities. Remote work is still gaining acceptance. Remote work, we interact with the public in our business, and we interact with people who are involved in remote work. It's still gaining acceptance. There has been a return to office movement lately, but remote work is still accepted for a lot of different roles. So because of that, people are moving out of cities. They're moving to places where the cost of living is lower, or, the environment is more favorable. A lot of people like the change of season. A lot of people like 4 seasons a year. And so they'll move up north. I know that might be hard to believe for people who don't like cold weather. But there are people who want to move to where the climate has 4 seasons. And there are other people who want to move out of the 4 seasons into the Sunbelt states. And that's being enabled because remote work is gaining acceptance still. It's still part of the fabric of the U.S. Workforce. So, and there was one other thing about that. 55% of adults in the U.S. have expressed a desire to relocate. That's over half the population of adults. So this industry is growing. I think the biggest factor, besides the fact that some of the cities have become poorly, they're poorly managed, and people, living there, if you think of New York City or Chicago, the LA riots right now, people want to live where there's some stability and relative peace. And so that's part of it. But the bigger part, I think, is the fact that companies are allowing employees to work from home, at least some days of the week, if not the whole time. We just had a customer today who is fully, not completely off-site. He's a highly compensated person who is not working in an office. He's working from home. And so that's a big part of why moving and relocation is growing. So some comparison. I couldn't fit everything on the board. So here's a brief comparison of these two industries, crypto versus moving and relocation. The crypto industry growth has been volatile. The crypto winter in 2022, people's confidence in crypto, both as in terms of trading and as a career, really dropped. In 2022, the crypto winter, it was a drop in crypto trading, a decline in the price of crypto assets, and negative sentiment among crypto fans and users became more prevalent. And by comparison, the moving and relocation industry has been rock solid, stable. Pretty much throughout history, there has always been a need for that industry. So it's much less volatile. If you're thinking about a career that is stable, crypto is probably not it. The crypto winter in 2022 opened a lot of people's eyes to that fact that it's, in terms of the predictability of the career, the ability to trade, the predictability of the valuation of crypto assets, very volatile. If you prefer stability, this sort of industry is a much safer bet. Because it's much more stable. There's practically no volatility in this industry. And there's been a steady increase in the business for a long time now. And it especially took off during COVID years when people started moving around a lot more. So in terms of money, what can you make in these two industries? So in the crypto industry, it's true, at least for now, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second, that incomes can be higher, 150K up to $1 million for people who are portfolio managers in the crypto industry. If you're running crypto money, if you have a fund that you're a manager of or at a company that trades crypto, then you know that the pay can be high with bonuses, making more than $1 million is possible too. Versus the moving and relocation industry, a six-figure salary, you're shooting par. You're doing okay if you have a six-figure income in the moving and relocation industry. But you have to compare that with the ups and downs. As an example, if you think about, humans being involved, moving and relocation, it's going to be very difficult, perhaps impossible, to remove humans from this industry. It's going to be very difficult. Humans are much more involved in this type of business. The crypto industry, because it started life as a technology industry, it started life with non-human participants mainly. It's probably going to stay that way. And in fact, if you look at these kinds of incomes, the companies who hire these people making this kind of money have a high incentive to replace those workers with AI. The higher the salary, the higher the incentive for the company to replace the human with AI. So in terms of stability, it's not just crypto winter that can come up from time to time. Artificial intelligence is a big risk factor for a crypto career, even though the pay seems like it's higher. Is it predictable? Can you look out 10 years in the future with moving and relocation industry and make any sort of an informed guess about humans still being part of that industry? Yes, you can. Because automating moving and relocation is much more difficult. As an example, part of the relocation industry is executive relocation. I have family members who are executives, and their companies sometimes will want them to relocate, and they pay for all the relocation. And there are many people involved in that process. For example, the company will send people over to look at the home they're leaving to see what it's going to sell for, because the company helps the executive sell the home. And then at the destination place where the executive is being transferred to, there are humans involved in going out and looking at properties to find a property for the executive. It's going to be very difficult for AI to fill those roles, right? And when it comes to actually physically moving the stuff that people take with them when they move, about the only way I could see automation is if there's like a central warehouse, a repository, sort of a staging place for people's household items that they're moving. It might become like there might be robots involved in that part of it. But in general, human participation in this industry for the next 10 years, very predictable. It's going to be hard to get rid of humans in this line of work. Crypto, in 10 years, it would not surprise me if human participation in that business drops by more than 50% over the next 10 years. So if you're trying to make a career decision, do you want stability with slightly lower pay, or do you want slightly higher pay now in crypto, but hard to know if you're going to be able to sustain that sort of career? It's going to be difficult, in my opinion, not just crypto, but a lot of technology careers where the salaries are high. Companies have a huge incentive to replace humans with crypto. So, and it's much easier to replace a human employee with AI in the crypto industry than in the moving and relocation industry. So just some ideas. I thought I would compare and contrast these two different types of business, a really tech-intensive business like crypto versus a more established, a more stable, human-involved business, moving and relocation. And if you look at the numbers, the market size is much larger in this more stable, more traditional industry. So give that some thought if you're thinking about a career change and you're concerned about AI being replaced by AI, moving and relocation is not the only industry where this sort of thing holds true. If you look at any industry where you can say to yourself, it's going to be hard to replace humans with AI, you could consider that if you're trying to transition out of a risky job that could be replaced by AI because your salary's high. Companies have an incentive to replace you with a machine. So give this some thought. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I really want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.